Good afternoon, folks. This is Coach Don. Today, this is on the topic of the good, the bad, the ugly. And we are talking about resumes. Um, you can listen to the good, the bad, the ugly on Anchor FM, Don Martinez, number 8. So today, my topic is on the good, the bad, the ugly. So let's start with the bad. See, resumes are not equal. And when I mean not equal, oftentimes the bad things about resumes is that we look at how people are not investing the proper time to read their own resumes, where they have a lot of misspellings, their grammar. So what happens is you get excited, you apply on a job board, and somebody on the other side lands up scanning your resume only to learn that you are now what we call a big disqualifier. You are basically disqualified. That to me is the definition of a bad resume. And it doesn't explain your skills, your experience, or even your accomplishments. Your resume message. People have asked me, should I put my photo or artwork on my resume? Well, I strongly suggest that you don't, because a major issue when applying to companies, even if you think your resume looks good, see, these flashy graphics and photos becomes what we call a big distraction. And the other thing about these resumes that you've put together is, in your mind, is your resume achieving the goal and objective that you set? Okay, let's back up a little bit. Maybe you did not put together a goal, and maybe you have no objective. Remember, that's a disqualifier for you, the job seeker. So I always say, hey, wait a minute. Your resume must have a purpose. You must understand your why. Why are you doing this other than to get an interview? Your resume is not going to help you get the job from the get-go. It's only going to help you get your foot in the door for an interview. So adding these graphics is really a very serious problem when you're applying to companies that use these automation scanning systems to get your resume into their ATS system. So think about that. See, technology is driving the hiring process. There are individuals in the talent acquisition space, as well as recruiters like myself. We are only spending maybe 10 to 20 seconds to review a resume. And oftentimes I'm reading from the top down and looking for relevant skills, qualifications, and experience. So my suggestion for these bad resumes is to ultimately keep those photos and graphics to a minimum, and your resume should be what we call a clean canvas. Make it professional and make it simple for people to read. And by the way, the industries that you work in. So for example, if it's a conservative organization, like a law firm or an accounting firm, you need to make sure that you do your research. There's so much information on the internet today about companies that are interviewing. In fact, some cases, they actually put some of their interviews online, or people are stating, hey, I had an interview with Deloitte, and Deloitte asked these questions. So um, keep that in mind. And by the way, I'm not doing any advertising for Deloitte because they're not a client, but they're just some company that is in that accounting space. So the bottom line is to keep it simple and keep it professional. So the ugly piece to your resume, oftentimes, like I said, if you have no goal or a purpose, then perhaps it's that you have no plan. And the plan that you have basically will lead you to failure. Another thing that I find out about resumes, I will look at a resume and look at the formatting of that resume. That's one piece to the puzzle. See, formatting has been part of a process for ATS systems. And when they scan them and they read them, they're looking for certain things that will line up to their system. So make sure that your resume, if you are going to submit, a good thing that I tell folks, we have LinkedIn. We have other tools where you can connect with companies. If you are going to apply to a company, my suggestion is you reach out to an individual that works there. Even if they have posted a job on the websites, you're better off asking. In fact, sometimes if you communicate, that's the key word, communicate, get to know the individual. And by the way, when you communicate by reaching out, pick up the phone, right? We've heard that before, and you call, you can ask those questions. And by the way, you can even invite the individual, the recruiter, or the individual there to ask their permission to keep an eye out for your resume. But here's another thing I do, not that I'm looking for a job, is that I will submit a resume, but before I do that, I will ask for a verification that they did receive it and that it's an appropriate resume. And during that time, what I do is I get the resume, that the original format that you have, and I obtain an email from the customer, the employer, and ask if it's okay that I would email them a fresh copy. That's where you can put in a very decent resume that really represents who you are as a brand, okay? Because the ATS systems don't look at you any different than the other person. It's all content. So again, those formats are very crucial. So I don't have any examples of them today, but I'll probably put some on a link in some of my files online when I post. But see, you really need to look at your resume, because another thing that folks do from employers to recruiters is that the ugly piece to it is that they'll look at your resume and your LinkedIn profile. And your profile from LinkedIn, there's no clue to what I'm telling you now. It should literally mirror what your resume states. A common mistake that I see, which is so ugly for most folks, is that it's out of date, and let alone dates itself. I don't like to use the word aged, but you might have an aged profile that needs a facelift. And by the way, you need to really move past many of these little details that you forget to do. And by the way, buzzwords, be careful with those buzzwords. Save your pitch for the day that you are in the driver's seat of getting an interview. And don't make your resume, which is the ugly piece to it, is too wordy. See, wordy documents, basically, for example, I had said that a gentleman uh, had put together a resume where he cut and pasted the job description of his job. Nobody wants to read a job description. They already look at that. So you need to put you in the game. And by the way, his job description had spelling mistakes and grammar errors. So, you got to really look at that. And as I mentioned, the inaccuracies of your qualifications and experience on LinkedIn, does it really model what your resume says? See, recruiters are cross-referencing LinkedIn profiles. They're looking at also other social media sites to really look at your characteristics, how you fit in to the culture. We hear that all the time. You're not a cultural fit, or you're just not a fit. And if you've heard that before, then there's a good chance that you have something in your resume, or you yourself are not being prepared. Don't put unnecessary information on your resume. Leave out your age, dates on college. Be careful with the dates, because some recruiters and employers will judge that based on that number. So be careful, okay? Another big mistake that I see people doing is they will post something negative about their past employer. Look, I get it. I tell people that you don't quit companies, you leave people, and the people that you work for could be, bad management. So people leave the companies, but it's really they leave people that are in these companies. And we're starting to see more and more of individuals and companies that are struggling to find good talent because they have somebody there that's been a very long employee. But until they fix that problem, which really is an opportunity for coaching, and if you are an HR person that have managers that need some help, hire a coach, help them to be a better leader. And we already know in technology, oftentimes in accounting, we don't have the best communicators. So, we are a people business. Companies are made up of people. So look at that. One other key thing that I find is your hobbies and interests. Maybe save that for an interview. If you see something in the individual's office or something that relates to a hobby or area of interest, that's what you can use to break the ice, to build rapport when you get a face-to-face role with them. So here is the good. And the good starts with you standing out. I say it's time for you to impress. See, that's a simple focus on helping you grab the attention of the employer or the recruiter. And here is a big thing. I know a lot of people ask, how do you feel about selling? Well, selling is another thing that people struggle with. So you have to be prepared. This is where the 3P principles comes into play. Prepare, plan, and practice. Focus on selling your strong skills and accomplishments. I call this your FAB statement. The FAB stands for features, accomplishments, and benefits. So your skills provide what we call a unique offering. So let's stop for a moment and ask yourself that question. What are your unique selling points? What do you do well? And by the way, if you don't know what that is, chances are you should invest in finding out. And if you do not know what that is, then ask some of your friends, parents, siblings, spouse, or partner. So the next time you look at a job, your job is to really match up. How do you measure up to that company and the actual job description? The roles, the functions, the responsibilities. See, it's extremely important for your resume. But one crucial, important piece to the puzzle of your resume is what I call your cover letter. See, your cover letter is your opportunity to sell and ask the individual for the opportunity to come in and interview. See, interviewing is not just telling, it's selling. And it's oftentimes an opportunity for you to show. So show and tell and sell. I call it showtime. So your resume, like I said, it's a tool. It's only a tool. The tool works if you get focused, get clear, and make sure that it's simple. So your call to action today, if you are struggling with finding a job, it's the weekend. Take the time to sit down and go over your resume one more time. Pick 3 companies, print out the job descriptions, look at researching those companies to find out a little bit more about them. So for example, I did a class on business plans yesterday. See, the business plan is a roadmap that contains certain goals. And it also has a purpose to help you sell what it is that you are building. Look, you're building a career. Are you building it with solid goals? Do you have a foundation? If not, then maybe that's where you need to start. And by the way, we have this other thing that I call habits. We are all creatures of habit, and I mean bad habits. We are so good at it, we don't have to think about it. Those bad habits come up when we are under a lot of stress, and that's what we rely on. The old way of thinking. So it's your time today, if you're looking for a career, is to change your way of thinking. Interviewing, resumes is all a mental mindset. You've heard that statement before. So today, if you want to listen more about the good, the bad, the ugly, you can listen to that on Anchor FM, Don Martinez 8. And you can also listen to this over again on YouTube. If you are an individual that is struggling with your resume, and more importantly, with interviewing, I said this before, that interviewing, there is no second or third, there's only one. You either are going to win or you're going to have another outcome. And if you don't get an offer, it's because you need to go back and look and search inside yourself. Chances are, I can tell you, there's a pretty good likelihood that your habits, and these are the old habits that you rely on to try to get a job in the new year of 2022. If you have any questions, you're looking for some coaching advice, feel free to call me at 714-674-0391 and ask for Don Martinez, and make sure you follow us on the hiring game at Anchor FM, Don Martinez 8. God bless you and have a great, great day.